Solid. Should have definitely let down on that one. This will just, I don't know, be a baseline 20-yard, 3-spot score. But just more for fun and getting used to shooting at these targets, at these spots. Because I never shoot at 20 yards. And I've never scored a round before. So let's keep it consistent. Whew. That one scared me. It's always good to get surprised, but sometimes, like, you're not, like, I was still letting my breath out, and I was about to start pulling through when it broke. Trying to be quicker with aligning my shot process. Now that I've kind of switched up a lot of things with my form, now working on being quicker with doing all of them correctly and mindfully every time. All right, arrow 2, end 1. Felt like it broke about where it hit up there. I think my peep is getting a little off. Seems like God, I just don't want to mess with it. That's just going to fuck with how it's hitting. But my D loop, just over time, it moves slightly, so then my peep isn't fully eclipsing it. It's just a little too small to eclipse the whole housing. So annoying. I got to figure something out because it happens over time, and then I got to adjust it a little bit. I actually adjusted a little bit, and that sight picture looked a lot better. So we're just going to give it just very, very tiny amount. Hopefully that isn't too much. All right, all 3 of those were in the yellow. Man, I've killed like 3 GoPro batteries today. Winter is definitely here. Okay, so I feel pretty good with where I got my 20-yard mark at the moment. So we'll just see how consistent I can be. N2 right here. Sight picture is a little better. We're going to give it just another tiny little twist on the D loop. Releasing half that breath out really steadies me a lot. Like, I always take a big breath in as I'm pulling back, as you can probably hear from my whistle nose whenever I'm drawing back. I'm going to take a lot of big breaths before I pull back too. I usually cut those out because it's annoying, but same with all my sniffling. But I think consistent breathing patterns through my shot is a good, through my shot process. Just big breath in as I'm pulling back, half a breath out for a little more stability as I'm about to start pulling through. Thing is, it does adjust because I'm settled on the target, and then when I let that half out, then it's like I got to resettle. So it's like maybe as I'm getting ready to settle, I should let half out as I'm lining up, so I'm not lining up twice. But that's something I'll play around with. That's maybe a good time. Blank bailing would be a good time to mess with that. Whew. Yeah, because as I'm letting that breath out, sometimes my finger is like really around that trigger, and then it just a little less out of the trigger, and then it breaks when I'm still not really prepared for it. But so far, I mean, I was still lined up. Target was acquired, so it wasn't a bad shot. It was a complete surprise. I think all my shots, 99% of them, 99.9% of them are somewhat surprise. But then you have those times where it goes off, like when you're not prepared to start pulling through. Shoot 20 yards is kind of fun, actually. I'm enjoying it. I think this will be a good way to consistently judge myself through the winter months. Aim small, miss small. I need to recalibrate and hit that X. That one was feeling hard to go off. First X in there. All right, N4 right here. That one felt like it was low and it broke. I've been having a couple of them feel like they're low, but they're not hitting low. Sometimes it's just hard to tell. If you're floating good, I'm getting good surprise breaks. And it could have just came back to center in the last moment. That wasn't a good one. It didn't hit terrible, but that wasn't a good shot. Yeah, I feel like my shots are taking a little too long. I'm just adjusting a little too much and getting the eclipse right before I start pulling through. Be interesting. Maybe I should pull and time a few of these shots and see where they're at. After making some of these adjustments, it'd be interesting to go back and see where I'm at now compared to a year ago. Let's keep it going. End 5 right here. Let's cruise through these last ends. Oh man. First one outside the yellow. That one just dropped. Starting to lose concentration. Starting to kind of lose the acquiring of the target where I can't like focus on it. But I'm starting to get better at just leave the pin where I was at and just keep pulling through. And just trust that it's going to go off where you had it. All right, so one bad shot in there. Not sure what I did. Feel like I was starting to pull through and give it pressure, and it just dropped and went off. It is what it is, though. Honestly, more about getting reps in today. Getting reps in, verifying my 20 is on, which so far it seems like it's pretty on. Seems decent. N6. Right here. Coming in hot. So that one I was pulling through the shot, and as I was in the middle of pulling through the shot, my peep and sight housing got off, so then I recorrected and then kept pulling through, and it wasn't a bad release. This doesn't look like it. Looks like a good arrow. But that is one of those things where, like, man, that arrow could have easily gone off while my sight picture was not aligned. Just trying to identify my weaknesses so I can work on them. I'm not sure how to be more consistent with that one. I don't know. Figure it out, though. One thing at a time. Or 3 things at a time, really. Or 20. Or 20 things at a time. That's what it feels like. Whew, that felt great. That was solid. Felt rock solid. Stayed lined up. Pulled it all the way through. Felt like it was a pretty quick shot sequence. N6 right there. It's going to be rock solid. We're going to get all 11s. The next 4 ends. That was a good shot tempo. Feel good. That one was one where I couldn't focus on it. Like my focus went way over here, but just kept pulling through. End 7. Or Malibu's Most Wanted. That show is hilarious. Walking around with their gangster limp, racing. Who's the fastest to get to the speed limit? He's got the grenade launcher. Okay. Solid. I've been really feeling the vibration in my bow as I switched my grip up, and I think that means that it's like much less torque than how I used to have it, because it just sits there and I can just feel it as it rocks forward. Really feel like I switched it up to like a good spot, because I had it way far over like this, then I went all the way. I had it way far over to just gripping it and torquing it. Then I went the opposite way where it was like mostly thumb, which I think then you torque it the opposite way. You're cranking it. Now I think I found a good middle ground. That was a long hold on that one. Thought about letting down. Should have let down. Had something in my eye. All the excuses. Yeah, just having trouble focusing. It's all right, though. I'll get through it. 2 more to go. So obviously, if I judge myself against people that shoot professionally, or even semi-professionally, or just take it serious in local clubs, like my score probably just absolutely sucks. I've had a lot of 9s, a couple of 8s, only a handful of 10s, if that, and I think only a couple of 11s. I honestly don't even know what it means to have X's. People say when they're scoring like a 30x to 80 something or other. I don't know what that, like, is an X the same score as the circle, as the 10? Or is that an 11 and then a 10? Or do you get an extra, like, kicker on top of whatever your score is? I don't know. But obviously, I'm going to go research that now before I score all these ends. But it's just about seeing a baseline of where I'm starting from and then keep improving over the next 2 to 3 months. And it also shows that I can have a more consistent score to judge myself against other people. But of course, like I said, the most important thing is judging against myself and keep improving. Let's knock out these last 2. Stay consistent. I'm letting my feet, my core sway a little bit, which is throwing me off. Man, that was, as I was starting to pull through, it was like my pin just, it was sitting there, and then I went as I was pulling through. Sometimes I feel like when I push and pull, like that like makes my pin jump around way more, which has got to be a reason why. I'm sure someone could tell me like, oh, that means this. That means you're doing this. Yeah, I feel like my groupings at 20 yards are compared to like my groupings at 60, 40, relatively, I feel like it's worse. Like if you had a consistent mark for each yard you go further back, I feel like my consistent grouping would be better further back I go. But I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe those holes in each target aren't that terrible, but it just doesn't seem great to me. But maybe I'm judging myself against hearing professionals or longtime archers talk about their scores or their groupings. End 10 right here. Let's bust it out. Solid. That one fell really low when it broke. Ended it with 2 solid X's. Center of center. Boom. That feels good. Good ending after feeling like it was slipping away the last couple ends before that. First time scoring 10 rounds on a Vegas face 3 spot. So that was fun. I feel like my score was not probably great at all compared to people that actually shoot it consistently. But for a baseline to score from, I don't think I did terrible. So it'll be good to kind of mark that and have something to improve on over the next couple months of shooting indoor. My time is running short. Got a jet. Thanks for coming along. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one.